The 2024 Canadian budget was just released, and there are some pretty significant changes that will affect how you should be planning for retirement, and more specifically, how you should be drawing down your assets efficiently. So, today I want to go over three strategies that will need to be updated. We're just going to go high level though. We'll make sure to go more in depth in future videos, but these are three things that I think that you should be aware of. So first and foremost, the big update in the budget is the change to the capital gain inclusion rate. So previously this was 50%. So if you bought an investment, let's say in a non-registered account or a rental property or a cottage, and that investment grew over time, you would have to pay 50% tax on the capital gain that you generated. So let's just say that you bought an investment for $400,000 and it grew to $1 million. By the time you sold it, you would have a $600,000 capital gain, and only half of it, or 50%, would need to be added to your tax return, so $300,000. Now, under the new rules, the inclusion rate is still 50% on the first $250,000 of capital gains during the year, but that rate increases to 66% for any gains above $250,000. So this isn't an issue for most Canadians in any given year, but from an estate perspective, this can have a huge impact, especially if you're having to liquidate property that will generate a capital gain. These changes will take effect on June 25th of 2024, so there is still time to generate some capital gains at the 50% rate if you'd rather avoid the inclusion rate of 66%. So how will this affect your retirement planning and more specifically your withdrawal strategy? Well, first and foremost, you're going to want to be more aware of your capital gains situation, because if you're approaching that $250,000 threshold, it might make sense to trigger some of those gains so that you're paying tax at the 50% inclusion rate rather than at the 66% inclusion rate. From a property perspective, things become much more difficult. Do you gift that cottage to the kids sooner than you wanted? Do you sell that property to not go over that $250,000 capital gain? Again, lots of things to look at in this scenario. The second big change is for business owners who are investing within their corporation. Now, the capital gains inclusion rate does not start at 50% in this case. It starts at 66% on that very first dollar. So if I'm looking at buying an investment either personally or within my corporation, it probably makes more sense to buy it personally now because of the inclusion rate on the capital gains in the corporation of 66%. So as far as a withdrawal strategy is concerned, we should probably be looking at drawing funds out of the corporation more aggressively to get them into your personal hands. Now, there's been an age-old debate if you're a business owner whether you should be investing in RSPs or investing within your corporation. I would say now that RSPs are looking a lot more advantageous. So the third big change that this budget's going to affect is life insurance. So life insurance is a tool that Canadians can use as a form of a tax shelter. So let's say that I'm 60 years old and I bought a life insurance policy. It's going to pay me a certain amount by the time I'm 90 years old, tax-free to my beneficiaries. Now, on the other hand, rather than buying that life insurance policy, I could have put my money in a non-registered account, let's say, and just grown that money myself as a form of self-insurance. So now the question becomes, is the life insurance payout going to be higher than the after-tax return of the non-registered account? So it's just become a lot harder for the non-registered account to keep up, especially with that inclusion rate of 66% on gains over $250,000. So now life insurance looks a lot more attractive. So a lot has changed with this budget, and as mentioned, this was just a high-level look at some of the strategies that will be effective. We'll make sure to go more in depth in future videos.